Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Android version history. The version history of the Android mobile operating system began with the release of the Android Alpha in November 5, 2007. The first commercial version, Android 1.0, was released in September 2008. Android is continually developed by Google and the Open Handset Alliance, and it has seen a number of updates to its base operating system. Since the initial release, versions 1.0 and 1.1 were not released under specific code names. Android code names are confectionery-themed and have been in alphabetical order since 2009's Android 1.5 Cupcake, with the most recent major version being Android 7.0 Nougat, released in August 2016. Note: to clarify, support for and more Android 4.4.4 KitKat means at least security patches in 2014, 2016 and 2017. The updates may or may not reach actual users' devices. That depends on vendors. Google may support their own users' devices with a major upgrade only, instead of a security update to those older versions, but it's possible to do. A version of Android KitKat exclusive to Android Wear devices was released on June 25, 2014, with an API level of 20. The beta was released on November 5, 2007. While the software development kit was released on November 12, 2007. The November 5th date is popularly celebrated as Android's birthday. Public beta versions of the SDK were released in the following order. Version history by API level. The following tables show the release dates and key features of all Android operating system updates to date, listed chronologically by their official application programming interface levels. Hardware requirements. The main hardware platform for Android is the ARM architecture, with x86 and MIPS architectures also officially supported in later versions of Android. Unofficial Android x86 project used to provide support for the x86 and MIPS architectures ahead of the official support. Since 2012, Android devices with Intel processors began to appear, including phones and tablets. While gaining support for 64-bit platforms, Android was first made to run on 64-bit x86 and then on ARM64. Since Android 5.0 Lollipop, 64-bit variant of all platforms are supported in addition to the 32-bit variants. Requirements for the minimum amount of RAM for devices running Android 5.1 range from 512 MB of RAM for normal density screens to about 1.8 GB for high-density screens. The recommendation for Android 4.4 is to have at least 512 MB of RAM, while for low RAM devices 340 MB is the required minimum amount that does not include memory dedicated to various hardware components such as the baseband processor. Android 4.4 requires a 32-bit ARMv7, MIPS or x86 architecture processor, together with an OpenGL-S 2.0 compatible graphics processing unit. Android supports OpenGL-S 1.1, 2.0, 3.0, 3.2, and as of latest major version Vulkan. Some applications may explicitly require a certain version of the OpenGL-S, and suitable GPU hardware is required to run such applications. Android used to require an autofocus camera, which was relaxed to a fixed focus camera if present at all, since the camera was dropped as a requirement entirely when Android started to be used on set-top boxes. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.